This show is brought to you by Interesting Radio. You can find all our shows over at interestingradio.nz.
Hello folks, it's Dan and Mike again with Big the Geeks, episode number 2. Let's talk a bit more about GPS, shall we?
Sounds good to me.
This studio of Dan's, it's so complicated. You wait till he does his explanation of how to do a podcast. For some reason, I'm the one that's getting in the hot seat for a bit here. I don't think I've only once been on the other side, and that's when you interviewed me for This Could Be Interesting.
Yeah, well, you can have this side back when we do episode 3 of Tech Explainers.
Okay. Or is it more you want your side back?
Well, I'm presenting the next one, so.
True. What are we doing next time?
Wi-Fi.
Sounds like fun. Anyway, GPS. So last time we talked about a very simple way of explaining how GPS works. I'm going by memory again. I'm not prepared at all. This is awesome.
Yeah, I did my prep for the next show this afternoon.
Oh, that's right. We're doing that after we've done this, haven't we? Wait. No, we're doing it another week or two, aren't we? Dan got me started on, I've always known about podcasts. I've never really listened to any until Dan sort of started getting enthusiastic about these things, and then I've started picking up some that he listens to. So I've recently been listening to Will Wheaton with Radio Free Burrito.
It's so good.
I'm not totally sold on it yet, but
I like it.
But he is entertaining at times. He told a great story in the last episode I listened to about the monkey. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was brilliant. You should go and have a listen to it. It's a couple of episodes ago now, but he's talking about dealing with stress and things like that, and having a what do you call them? Like a helper dog sort of animal, helper animal. I forget what they're called.
Yeah,
assistance animal. Yeah. And he ran into this monkey and he's thinking, "Oh, I can't deal with that." And next thing you know, the monkey's stroking his face and calming him down. He's like, "This is great." But one of the other things he was mentioning was towards the end of his podcast, he's saying, "Hey, so guys, this will be about 5 minutes for you while you listen to a song, but it'll be about 4 hours for me." And
then it ended up being
it was like 24 hours later. That's the magic of podcasting. We can record this now. I think, are you really releasing this tomorrow?
Wednesday, yeah.
Wednesday. So 2 days from now, folks. So, hey, it's in the past.
Yeah.
Welcome from the past. Hello from the past. Yeah. Maybe. Close enough. GPS. Well, we gave did you put the Trimble site link in the?
I absolutely did.
Excellent. That's cool. That was a really cool page. Did you have a look?
Yeah.
Did it make more sense to you reading that?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's so complicated and there's only so much you can do to kind of break it down.
Yeah. Because one of the things that bugged me the most about after we'd finished up the Tech Explainers GPS episode was there was a kind of trying to explain how the sphere idea works. So what's wrong?
You're going to have to download Shockwave.
Oh, man. Really?
Nah, you don't have to. You can just use the menu on the side.
Yeah, you can. There was something in here about... There it is there. Yeah, so it's triangulating from satellites. It's not 100% accurate, talking about spheres and intersection of spheres and things like that, but it's a really good way to try and explain what's going on. Excuse me while I have my alcohol-free margarita.
It sounded like you just took a big sip of alcohol. Yeah. Mike, are you sure you wouldn't like anything from Burger King / McDonald's?
Are you getting messages from your wife?
I am.
She's not going to be happy about being in this podcast, Dan. No, I've had a big dinner and I'm actually kind of full, so it's fine. Thank you.
He is sure.
Oh, the world is so connected, isn't it awesome?
Yeah, and that's on my computer as well, not even on my phone.
That's actually kind of rare for Dan. If you've ever met Dan, he's either looking at his phone or looking at his watch.
I haven't worn my watch in like 3 weeks because I lost the charger cable for it and I just found it and now it's charged.
I'm not surprised.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, so the triangulating from satellites with the talking about how a satellite's location is the center of a sphere, and if you've got one satellite, you can get a distance from that satellite to you, and you're somewhere on that sphere to that satellite. It's got no idea where you are.
Mhm.
Well, it kind of actually does. It knows that you'll be in the lower hemisphere, right? Because it's unlikely you're going to be sitting above it, out in space. So but you can realistically guess that you'll be in the bottom hemisphere. Yeah, either way, when you work out where you are, there's a massive area on that sphere that you could be, and as soon as you incorporate another satellite and you get another distance, you can only be on the circle, or between, it's hard to describe, but if you put those two spheres together and grab two balloons, right, pretend they're spheres and shove them together.
You can only be on that plane.
You can only be on the outside of that flat plane between them, because that's where the only place where you are the same distance from both center points of the spheres.
Mhm.
So that's still a huge amount of space. And as soon as you add that third satellite, you can then have one of two locations.
Uh-huh.
So if you grab the two balloons that are stuck together and stick another one on the side, you can either be at the top point where you can see the three balloons joined, touching each other, or the bottom point, because they're all still the same distance.
Yeah.
So and you've got those 2 points, right, top and bottom, and that's three satellites gives you 2 points. You can usually actually guess where it's going to be, because one of those will be very close to the surface of the Earth, and the other one will be up in space.
Right.
So you can realistically sort of say, I'm here. But the fourth satellite makes it much easier. You can go, I definitely know where I am now, because that fourth one, no matter where you put it, there's only one spot that all the distances work.
Right.
So unless one of the satellites has crashed into the other, and not that that's going to happen.
Okay.
So, and this also goes by. There's actually another really cool thing about the way satellites are used. Not GPS satellites, but the emergency location transponder, EPIRB, those those 4 or 6 megahertz satellites that are actually picking up your emergency transponder for when you have a crash or are out in the WAPs and you activate it because you've broken your leg or you need help.
Sure.
So these satellites actually orbit the Earth, and they're like, not geostationary. I mean, GPS orbits as well, but the point is they orbit, and every pass over you, it can work out where you are. But every pass over you, the first time it only sees you at 2 locations, because as you're scooting over the Earth, right, and you're looking down, but you don't have a camera, you can only tell, I know there's someone down there at X number of kilometers from me that can either be out to your left or out to your right, as you're scooting over the Earth.
Yeah.
So same idea. You'll only know where you are, or the satellites will only know where you are on the second pass, because the satellite will have moved a little bit in its orbit path.
Yeah.
And then that next time around it goes, well, last time they were here, and now my 2 distances are pointing me here and here. Those 2 match. So for my previous pass and this pass, that location matches. Now I've got you to within 100 meters or whatever.
So that's a pretty decent delay.
It can be, yeah. So, but when you think about orbits for satellites in the space station, I think it's like 90 minutes. So,
yeah.
Not going to be more than that until someone gets near you anyway. But again, more often than not, the first pass you'll know, because this location is here in the bush.
Yeah.
In South Island, New Zealand, in Fiordland. And this one here is out in, the South Pacific, way down there towards Antarctica.
Gotcha.
Because, talk to the people that know you and say, oh, he was out trekking. He's out hunting in Fiordland. Oh, he's that one.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a fisherman. Oh, he's on that one.
Gotcha.
So, it's not always the case, but and this is the idea of using all these locations from the points of spheres and lots of stuff to go and read up. It's really interesting. I mean, this is the stuff that really gets me, excited about things. There's many phrases you can use there, and there's only so many of them are correct. But it's interesting to see how you can take some very complicated technology like GPS and actually break it down into its constituent parts and actually see that's actually really simple. Like last time we talked about Doppler shift and how, a fire engine going past you, the siren changes, and that's the same idea of understanding how far you are away from a satellite, or if you're before, in front, behind it, and things like that.
I did put that in the podcast as well.
Oh, very good, very good. On the show notes thing.
No, I put a Doppler sound effect into the middle of the show.
Oh, great. That sounds brilliant. You see, I don't actually listen to these shows. I just talk with Dan and he just sort of makes some stuff happen. And yeah, anyway. Dan's got a new podcast. He just told me before that he's got 1,200 downloads in the first how long?
3 days.
Wow, that's pretty good. Well done.
And it's also kind of spiked the downloads on all the rest of my shows too. Because at the start, there's this production is brought to you by Interesting Radio.
Oh,
at
very
interestingradio.nz.
Oh,
so
cool.
the hits for that website went as well.
So you're spending too much time doing a podcast and not enough time actually fixing your back door, which doesn't work properly at the moment. And your wife's getting really angry at you. This door is annoying me, Dan. When is the new lock arriving? Oh, NZ Post lost it.
But they did. It got to the depot in Dunedin. And then in between it arriving in the depot and getting to my PO box in the same building, they lost it.
Well done. Well done, NZ Post. Well, at least you're not trying to get it delivered out to you. Actually, no, it's actually really bad because it's usually the guys that are delivering. New Zealand has a massive downturn in courier deliveries for packages and postal service in general because everything's going internet here, right? So there are a couple of courier companies that people just loathe the fact that their supplier has used them. It's really frustrating when your package is, it's in the van and he's able to drop it off, but he's dropped a card to call. Oh, it just winds me up, especially when I'm home. I sort of go, I love the stories of the guys that, open the door as he's walking away. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I am home.
Now, walk to your van and get the package out instead of the card to call that you pre-filled in.
Yeah. I think, I don't know how it works, but everyone says, and I presume there's probably some truth to it given that, but they must get paid by the number of times they visited an address. Otherwise, it'd be like, well, I could drop it off the first time, but if I leave a card to call, I get paid again the next time. So, I hate the way society's going with not paying people enough for those jobs where they really should be being paid enough.
Yeah, so they have to game it instead.
Yeah, it's just the whole, nearly every industry is going like that, and it's just frustrating. Wow, that's off track.
Yeah, we've got way off track there.
Anyway, so yeah, the one of the other things which is interesting, which is a little bit misunderstood, I think, is the restrictions on where you can use GPS. So a lot of people do or don't know. Well, okay, that's everybody. It's like, there's two types of people in this world. There's 10 types of people in this world. People that understand binary and those that don't. And in this situation, we're talking about there is a restriction on where you can use GPS. So people think that with GPS, you can't use it if you're going too fast, or you can't use it if you're going too high, or things like that. But it's not exactly true. I mean, yes, those things are true, but it's a combination of things. So it's not just one and it's not just the other. The idea behind this is to try and stop people using GPS for, weaponized purposes.
Right, missiles,
ICBMs, and tracking and things like that. Because, of course, the owner of the GPS network kind of want to be able to do that and nobody else. So, well, it makes sense.
That.
The thing is, it's actually kind of dependent. My understanding is, if I was correct, it's dependent on the chip manufacturers of GPS receivers. So if you are able to actually receive the signal, you can bypass all those. But all of the chip manufacturers, to be able to be certified or whatever for being a GPS receiver, have to have the stuff in it. And there it is, the restriction on civilian use in Wikipedia. Everyone loves Wikipedia. It's always 100% accurate. The US government controls the export of some civilian receivers or GPS receivers capable of functioning above 18 kilometers, so 60,000 feet altitude, and 515 meters per second, or 1,000 knots, which is actually quite a heap over speed of sound, or designed or modified for use with unmanned or air vehicles like ballistic or cruise missile systems, are classified as munitions, which means they require State Department export licenses. So basically what that's saying is the receiver needs to be able to differentiate and say, if you're going faster than 515 meters per second, and you're above 18 kilometers or 60,000 feet, no worky for you.
Right.
So that's basically the idea behind it. So you can go fast. There's no problem going fast, but you can't go fast and high.
Right.
And you can, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the cool uses of GPS is and another interesting hobby that I don't talk about a lot because I don't do it in New Zealand. Occasionally I go over to the States and visit some friends over there and do amateur high-power rocketry and sending rockets really high. It's good fun. There's this visceral thrill when you set off an M motor. Yeah. And it just, especially one that's called a moon burner because it's a long burn.
Right.
And it just has this just really nice sound, and it goes for like 3 seconds rather than a quarter second or so. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it just it goes flying straight up, and it's awesome. But you put a altimeter in there to track your flight and get the height and control the charges for your recovery parachutes and things like that. And you've got to be very careful that you're not hitting those thresholds. Doesn't happen very often because the rockets quite often don't go faster than the speed of sound. Very few do because of all that extra work you have to do to make sure that the Mach shockwave doesn't blow your airframe to bits. It's quite crazy. But the using the GPS to track the rocket, and there are very few GPSs that can actually deal with the change in location so quickly. And the altimeter that I use or have used, most of them can't deal with it, and this one especially can't. Well, they all can't. So from the moment what's called boost, which is where you lift off the pad and go up until into your coasting phase where the engine's burnt out and you're coasting up to apogee or the very top of the flight. The GPS just completely loses its idea and says, I've got no idea where I am. You're going way too quick. I can't work this out. Right. And it's not a restriction. It's just the fact that it's going so quick it can't get enough information from the satellites quick enough to work out where it is. So you've got to have multiple receivers and massive computing power to do this. But with a little chip on the wee board, it's just it's a bit hard for it. And on these chips, there's and internally they're actually a big state machine. If you're programming, you know what a state machine is. I'm guessing most of the listeners will. But and the state machine is called a correlator in GPS, and it takes all of the information about the GPS signal, as we were talking about last time, was the randomized signal, which is known, pseudo-random signal, and time-locked. So you play the same pseudo-random signal on your device and measure the difference, and you can work out how far away you are from the satellite. Yeah. So the little state machine that's doing all these things is called a correlator, and it's basically taking the information from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 different satellites and actually matching them all up and going, zooming in, and that's why you see accuracy coming from huge down to nothing, is it's sitting there for ages doing this correlating to bring it all together and work out where it is. It's quite cool. Very clever maths, lots of maths. I mean, so one of the things, I say that a lot, one of the things, one of my favorite things, one thing I really hate, one of many things. So, doing a computer science degree, you sort of think, programming, that's pretty cool. So, what's all this maths for? But I mean, computer programming is it is maths. Crap ton of math. I can do math, but I hate it. But I actually more enjoy doing the programming. Anyway.
Yeah, I can write programs to do maths for me, but I don't want to do it myself.
Yeah, it's kind of how it works. Yeah. So going back a little bit to limits there, there's like I was saying in the Wikipedia, there's a short bit on restrictions of civil use, and it says disabling operation above these limits exempts the receiver from classification as munition. So if your receiver does say, nope, doesn't work, you don't have to be classed as a munition, you can be exported from the US because they've got crazy rules. What if they get crazier?
Does that mean that if you're, say, a Chinese GPS manufacturer, they don't have to stick to those same standards?
Well, no, because I mean they've got, what is it? Is it no, Baidu is their Twitter thing, isn't it? No, they've got some. Yeah, they've got some GPS thing now, don't they? I can't remember what it's called. The Russians have got GLONASS, and is it Russians? I think so. One of the two, anyway. Yeah. But I mean, the Chinese have got their own GPS system anyway, so I'm sure they can do what they like with it. But all those signals are coming from the GPS system from the US, so you can use that too. Right. It's kind of getting watered down, I think, with the fact that there's not just one system anymore. There's multiple. So you'll also find when the device you buy says, it does GPS and GLONASS and stuff. And what that means is it does one type of satellite. There's actually multiple networks of satellites, and it's doing both. So two different systems. They'll use nearly identical idea and principles, but slightly different protocols and different
radio frequencies and
there's a way back in the early episodes of Airline Pilot Guy, he's talking about a like a broadband provider. We're out in the WAP somewhere, and they were trying to use a frequency which is really close to GPS, and it was going to interfere with GPS and got shut down, things like that. So there's all this stuff as well. So I can't remember what they're called, but
so GPS is
like 1200 megahertz or something.
1575.42 megahertz and 1227.60 megahertz.
Yeah, so it's between 1 and 2 gigahertz. Yeah,
I can't think of any wireless. I guess.
Oh no, it was very specific. It
must be LTE.
No, it wasn't one of those at all. It was like it was their own tech going to use the same sort of frequencies.
Okay.
I forget, you have to look it up now.
Light squared.
Well done, that's the one. I was just thinking squared is in the name. GPS.gov, American government site. Light Squared and GPS. In 2016, Light Squared became Legato Networks, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Light Squared subsidiary, blah, 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 blah. Ground-based 4G LTE network that transmits in the same radio bands as its satellites. The band is right next to the primary GPS frequency, L1. So they, from what I understand, they're probably still trying, but they keep saying, no, you can't impact GPS. So
no.
Too many things rely on it now, and aviation is one of the massive ones.
Yeah, I just Googled GPS frequency, US wireless broadband clash.
Yeah, so there you go. So, I mean, that was very interesting listening to that, and it sort of came up a couple of times. It'll be interesting to see, and this is where you have, your signal jammers and things like that comes into play. So, you have a device in your lecture hall, for example, that blocks mobile phone networks, so that you can't use your phone during a lecture.
Which is very illegal.
It is, and actually some places that did it, was it in the US, got in big trouble for it?
I don't know.
Yeah, there were so a couple of universities or schools or something that did this. Just because they were sick of it. And it might have actually been through exams as well. But they didn't get any clearance from the FCC or something and got to like big fines.
Because you can, like AliExpress and things, sell them, but in New Zealand, you'd find it very difficult to actually get it into the country.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well, is that if you actually do get into the country, it's usually not as big a problem as if you actually go and use it. And so if you go and use it, that's when the problem arises. On the other hand, if you do go, no, I won't say that.
It's for research purposes.
Well, what I was going to say is, even if you do go and use something like that, it's actually very, very hard, or that takes time for them to find you. So, actually, one of the other community organizations which exists everywhere in the world is ham radio, amateur radio.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys in amateur radio are just absolute sticklers for wanting to make sure that their ear bands are kept clear. And they'll hunt for someone who's on their frequencies, and they'll find them pretty quick. So you've got to be careful, because these guys, most of the people in ham radio are related or involved with, in some manner or form, our local government radio spectrum management. So the guys are actually what they call the radio inspectors, are usually ham radio operators as well. So they, just because they're into that as their jobs, it becomes their hobby as well. And
I met the local person known as ZL4 Tux the other day.
Jeff Buckman. Yes. He's a nice chap.
He's the engineer at Otago Access Radio.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting fellow.
Yeah, and very, very skilled with Linux, because I've been playing with Rivendell a bit, and he built a Ubuntu distro to run Rivendell.
Okay, cool.
Which was quite cool.
Yeah, no, he's been using it for years and years and years. Yeah, I remember when Jeff first joined the local Linux user group, and he was pretty green to it then, but he's learned a lot since then. And that's the thing, is that anybody can, with all those things, especially those communities where it's open information. If you've got the time and you're able to learn, you can become really wizardly with things. So
well, that's one of the potential uses for this is,
as Dan points to his Dell touchscreen thing that's glaring at me, it's all black.
It is.
It's not doing anything.
So, thinking about maybe learning how to use Rivendell and do a streaming radio internet thing.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
You got too many toys, too much money.
We again have got significantly off track. That was my fault that time.
Yeah, well, that happens. But anyway, no, I do have very fond memories of when GPS first became, or that selective availability. We talked about the massive error that the US government had in it when they turned that off. And the story goes, I can't remember. You have to go and look it up again. But that's where geocaching started. We did mention that there's a guy who thought, hey, that's really cool. I know what I'll do. He went and created a geocache, as they're now known, but back then it was just a box. And he went and hid it somewhere in the woods and said on some online forum somewhere, hey, look, I've hidden this here at these coordinates. Go find it.
Yeah.
And some people did, and it was like, wow, this is really cool. I went and found something that someone told me exactly where it was, and I found it really straight away. So rather than going, oh, it's down that road and 200 meters that way, or 200 yards or whatever, Americans. I hate this imperial metric thing. I wish the world could just be metric. But anyway, I had a fantastic discussion the other day, and I was giving some people some grief about that actually. And something came up about because I had mixed units, and then they said, just they're freedom units, they're the best things in the world. I said, yeah. And what happened last time? Units were mixed. Didn't some people nearly die? From the moon and stuff. You know that story about NASA? Yeah. So the GPS being used for so many different interesting technologies and things has made my interest at the moment, which is aviation. The flying jets across, the Pacific and the Atlantic, and transcontinental and whatever oceanic flights, so much easier now because these guys just key all this stuff into their flight management computer in the plane, and all the GPS waypoints that are known around the world. They're all got names, and they're all predefined and things like that. Key them all in, whatever the plane knows where to go. It tells them it's over there, it's that direction, etc. What happened to do before GPS? Do you have any idea?
I kind of do, but not that I'm willing to attempt to explain.
Right. So the coolest thing and it's just mad how this worked, is when they first started trying to navigate, the US, I can't remember if the US or UK government, one of the two anyway, they sent people basically everywhere in the world to measure the magnetic field of the Earth. And they had this magnetic field map.
Yeah.
So you knew which direction it was facing at which point, what strength it was, etc., etc. And I haven't read up on the technology, but the idea was that using this information, which they had to refresh every year or so, they were able to actually work out where they were just by using the magnetic field. That was one method. Then the second method, what did the ships use back in, the olden days?
You mean after the stars?
No, the stars.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of this is a brilliant story actually, one that Jeff told. You might not remember it because I'm way back in the episodes. I'm back at episode 60 or something.
Yeah, I'm
still 200 behind, but I'll get there eventually. But they were talking about stories and jokes that were made and things like that. And there was a story about a hostess who went up to the cockpit and was talking to the captains and complaining about someone taking up time in the toilet and wondering how long it's going to be. So the engineer leaned over and looked into his little scope thing on his desk, which, she had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
And he goes, yes, I can see he's just wiping his hands now. He'll be out in a minute. to try and make out like they can see into the toilet. So what this scope actually was the stellar scope, so they could actually see the stars.
Yeah.
So the engineer, because back at, they had the pilot and the co-pilot, and they had an engineer as well who was in charge of running all the engines. And, with no computers, there's a lot of stuff to be done by the people. So you need more people. Now with all the computers, it's, you only need the two pilots. They navigated by the stars. And the third one, which I know exists, but I have not read up on it, but I keep meaning to because I'm very interested in how it works, is inertial navigation. And I know nothing about it except for what it's called. So that's the other method that the aviation guys use. But I don't need to learn it at the moment. So it's it'll interest me at some point to get into it. But and then GPS came along, things became a lot easier. But all those methods are still taught, and they're all still used when they need to be, because things happen. So things break.
Yes.
Typically, the stars don't move, though.
Yeah, usually not, though. I guess with your kind of flying, if you can find a mountain or a road that you recognize, you're a bit harder to get lost.
Yeah. It's a lot easier, though, with GPS, though, especially when you've got your moving map on your tablet. And you can go, oh, there I am.
Let's go to Alex.
Yeah. You can,
Yep.
Yeah. We just get there. But yeah, certainly before you had GPS and the ease of use of being able to see where you were, like on a tablet or on a GPS on the, in the instrument panel, you had to know how to read maps.
Mm.
It's an interesting idea about when you're reading maps is, do you read from the land to the map or the map to the land? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you see a mountain.
Yeah.
And you go, that mountain there, you look at your map and go, it's that one. Or do you go, right, I should be here. I should be able to look for a mountain there and look out the window. Is it there?
Yeah.
One way, your brain tricks you and you will go, oh, yes, that fits. That's what it'll be. And the other way, it's more intuitive and going, no, that's not right there. So I can't remember which way around it is, but there's one of the two.
Yeah.
I should go and read up about this because it's, kind of important. Again, tablets go flat. And, but, so, you had to be able to read by map. But the main reason that you still, even though you can go, oh, GPS, you can know where you are and it's easy, you won't get lost. In aviation, you still need to know airspace and where you need to talk to ADC. And
true.
So it's, and that's all on your maps. So you still got to have your maps no matter what format they're in. So you know where it is you got to talk to and who you got to talk to. So
we've got a aviation episode coming up, right, Mike?
Yeah, at some stage, yeah.
Once you've thought about what you want to talk about.
Yeah, it's there's a few little interesting things about you always hear people saying, oh, but what happens if the engine stops? You'll fall out of the sky. No, you won't fall out of the sky. So we're going to talk about that. So it should be fun. What else can we talk about with GPS? Is there anything that you're interested in or know? Or
we should probably talk about Ingress and Pokemon Go.
Well, you played the other one, didn't you?
Ingress?
No, the other one.
All right, we can talk about Ingress soon because we both play that, and that is kind of how we met.
It is actually, yeah.
Forget about that occasionally.
Yeah. So Ingress came along. Oh shit! When was it? 2000 and did it start?
14, 15?
Nah, actually might have been 13.
Yeah, but it was definitely very closed beta at the start. And
yeah.
I did get an invite fairly early on, and I went out and, as a level 1, attacked like a level 6 portal, got completely destroyed, and went, this is too hard.
Yeah. Yeah, so Ingress is what they call an augmented reality game. I was kind of hoping it would be a little bit more than it was when I first got it, but hey, it still proved to be some fun and good entertainment. But the idea is that there's a whole backstory, this whole sort of, what do you call it, fantasy, sci-fi-ish backstory to it. And the idea is that there's this energy in the world called exotic matter, and the backstory says that at various interesting points in human history, we've built things with not knowing that that's where this matter is exploding into our realm.
Yeah, I don't really follow the story.
Yeah, but it explains why the portals are where they are and what they are. So the idea is that a portal is a point of significance, a monument or a ornate building or a sign or things like that. And the idea is that this is where it turns out that humankind has built these things in these locations, not really knowing why, but that's been explained is because this is where this exotic matter is coming out of the, under wherever and into our realm. So, and there's these portal points and you can capture them for your team and make some links out of them by linking them together and then make triangles and fields and things like that. But it's augmented reality because it's all location based. So you use your app on your phone and it's GPS location. You've got to walk around. Walk, yeah.
Drive, fly.
Drive, dressing, fly, dressing,
Yeah.
So, but no, we're all guilty of that.
Helicopter,
I've done that.
Yes.
Flying, done that.
Boats.
Boats.
Isn't there a portal up in Auckland where you kind of go past it on a ferry?
Possibly. I don't know. I do remember going up for a trip, actually. Went for a road trip up to... Yeah, and I flew to Christchurch, and then we road tripped from Christchurch up to Wellington to the ferry across. And of course, we were ingressing on the way because it was an excuse to go and capture all these portals or go and visit them and get unique stats for visiting a unique location. And travelling across the Cook Strait, New Zealand's Cook Strait between the North and South Islands on the ferry, it's a good time to drop keys. So you'd just be this line of keys across the strait. So
nice.
So when you interact with the portal, you can do a thing called hacking it. I'm sure most people know about this game anyway, but the idea is the simplest idea is you can interact with the portal and hack it. When you hack it, you get items from it. It's either a weapon or an item to build called a resonator. And you can also get a key for that portal. Once you've got a key, you can go to another portal, link back to that using that key, and it uses up the key. So when you go and visit all these portals and you don't have any intention of linking to them and you hack them and get items from them and whatever, because there's another stat for unique hacks, blah, 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 you end up with an inventory of keys. So you'd drop these keys out of your inventory and litter them on the ground. Although it's much easier now, you just load them into a capsule. Were you playing before capsules?
Yes. Just.
So when the game first started, you had like weapons. Yeah, so I think you had bursters, shields, so weapons and defensive mods to put on the portals, resonators to build them, and keys. That was it.
Wow.
There's a whole plethora of more items now, but anyway.
Yes.
But of course, and you could have, when the game first started, you could have unlimited inventory. You have thousands and thousands and thousands of items.
Wow.
They worked out very quickly that this was a huge drain on the systems. They put a limit of 2,000 on people. So anyway, but to share items or to give people items, you had to sit there and you had to select the item, tell it to drop, confirm the drop, select the item again, drop, confirm the drop. So it was like tap, 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 tap. And I remember sitting in a car with someone for an hour just transferring items between each other, you know, resource sharing and things like that. And now, of course, it's like, you need some boosters. Let's just load up a capsule by opening the capsule and go and load that and then hit the wee button that says fill up until it's full. Exit, drop, done, pick it up, done, and away. So, old guard.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's how Dan and I met. We're on the blue team.
Yes. So if anyone hasn't heard of it and decides they want to play.
Yeah, play on the blue team. Blue team's awesome. Yeah. The resistance. Yes. It's one of those things, when you first load up the game, you don't know anybody. You read the information and say, this team does this. Oh, that's not me. Oh, I like that one now. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And then you start playing, you discover, maybe I want to be on the other team.
Yeah. Some people find that. Yeah. Some of us are lucky. Oh, man.
What are you complaining about? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have Captain Jeff on Skype.
Oh, dear.
Everyone's blocked, so that stops it from popping up in the middle of recording other shows.
Oh, okay.
So I unblock them if I'm planning on talking to them.
I don't recognise anyone else there of any importance. That's really mean, because those people that are actually on your list. Let's not say any names. You can cut that bit out.
All right. Well, do we have anything else on GPS, or do you think we're about ready to wrap it up?
I think we probably could wrap it up. There's not a lot more to say, to be honest. But there's lots of cool things that you can do nowadays. You've got your augmented reality games. You've got your, you can do your Google Maps when you're out and about traveling somewhere. A lot of people do know, and a lot of people don't. Location history on Google.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are either totally against it and can't stand it and find it really creepy. I personally find it fantastic. The number of times I've gone back to my location history to go, where the hell was I that day when I'm doing my timesheet for work? Which job was I doing? Oh, I was there. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, I know. I remember that day. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
It's actually really useful. And I freely admit, okay, it's data that company's doing. Okay. Yeah, it's not something that you probably really want people to know about you. But on the other hand, I kind of wish they still had the motto, but they don't. They used to have, Google, don't be evil.
Yeah.
But they don't really say that anymore. But, all I can say is, well, it's a little bit more professional to not have a motto like that. But
yes,
the number of the millions and millions of people that use Google and use location tracking and history and stuff like that. It's not like anyone from Google specifically is going to go, oh, I'm going to go and have a look at what this person's been doing.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
They probably can't.
Might be really boring. home, work, supermarket, home, work, home.
Exactly
work.
right. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, the point being is that it's unlikely someone from, and this is where you fall into this trap. And I'm sure someone will come back to me and say, but that's not the way to have it. Privacy, blah blah. And they're right. The whole you don't really, if you've got nothing to hide, what are you worried about? That's a really bad argument to have. I'm no good at fighting it, but it's one argument you should just never use.
And you should never trust people that say that because they probably can't keep a secret.
That's true. Yeah. So I'm totally against that, but on the other hand, I'm quite happy to use Google to have that particular function available to go and look at where I was that day or do something like that. Are you enjoying that, McFlurry?
I am. I'm trying to eat it away from the microphone.
You're succeeding pretty well, but anyway.
That's what the noise gate's for.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have a problem using it. I'm aware it's there, and I'm aware that theoretically, if a certain law enforcement agency decides they want to work
the NSA, perhaps.
No, I just mean anything in general, really. If they really want to, go and find out what I've been up to, in that particular instance, that I'm not that concerned. I don't actually have anything. Here I am saying it again. I don't have anything really that I do that actually bothers me if anyone knows. In a situation where I think I really don't want people to know that I'm going there, then sure, I'll go and turn it off on my phone or not take my phone or something. But
it's probably suspicious in itself, though.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I can only imagine there'll be some situation where I want to temporarily not have any likelihood that someone's going to find out that I'm going to organise some massive party for someone, or something like that. It's not anything nefarious. But
yeah, and then you have Apple devices where you have Find My Friends, so you share your location with your friends.
Yeah.
I use that to follow Becky around on her driving test.
You creep. That's really creepy.
It's quite interesting to see where she went. It's like, whoa, you went all over the place. She's like, you followed it, didn't you? I was like, yep. Yeah.
I really like the... I've never actually got around to it because I've never found myself using a GPS solution which involves these, but the celebrity voices, like like a Billy Connolly or a Sean Connery or something, telling you what to do. Yeah,
I imagine Billy Connolly's would be rather abusive.
Yeah. Oh, there's fantastic ones. You go and listen to the little demos online and things like that. Or Marvin the Martian would be another good one. You went the wrong way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Recalculating.
Right. I think we can probably wrap it up.
I think we can wrap it up there. So I'll have another sip of my non-alcoholic margarita. Maybe it should have been alcoholic. Dan's having alcohol. Perhaps I should have, but I've got to drive home.
Perhaps so.
Anyway, Dan can't drive home because his car's out.
Not anymore.
Oh, is it back? Oh, it is back.
It is back because the McFlurry came back with it.
Dan showed me this picture from his security camera going, where's my car? His wife's learning to drive, and I think she's doing a really good job, isn't she?
Yeah, she's got her restricted now.
Yeah.
So she can drive on her own.
Till 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
She's got 21 minutes. She can go out again. Okay, folks. Thanks very much. Next time we'll be talking some more about Wi-Fi to come along after Tech Explainers episode number 3 for Wi-Fi.
Exactly.
Thanks, folks. Bye.